This lesson covers the configuration of DirectAccess and actually enabling it for the clients. The good news is most of the configuration is actually done for us automatically through the new Remote Access Management Console. This was installed when we enabled Remote Access role. So I can see here my Remote Access Management. So from here, I'm just going to go and say Enable DirectAccess. This is going to launch the Enable DirectAccess wizard, which will guide me through all of the configuration. So I click Next. This is checking the prerequisites are installed on this box. This is asking me for the security group that contains the client computers that will be enabled for DirectAccess. This is going to be used as part of a security filter on the new group policy object that's actually going to be created and linked to the domain by this wizard. So I'm going to add that DirectAccess group that I created in the previous lesson. And this was DA_clients. I can say check the name, and that was successful. I can say to only enable it for mobile computers. So all of the mobile computers would be enabled, but not non-mobile machines. I can say use false tunneling. So I previously talked about the way DirectAccess works is that name resolution policy table will check the DNS suffix of the resource I'm trying to access, and only if it matches will that be tunneled through the DirectAccess tunnel. Any internet-based traffic, such as that CNN.com or Microsoft.com, will just go out to the internet directly. With false tunneling, everything will actually come via the DirectAccess connection and through your corporate network. I wouldn't advise turning this on unless there's a reason you need to monitor every bit of internet-based traffic. The next stage of the setup is asking me what is my configuration. Now, the options available to you are going to depend on the configuration of your server. I talked about in Windows Server 2012, we don't actually need any public IP addresses. You can actually put DirectAccess behind some sort of NAT device, network address translation, and it can just act to route the traffic as it comes in and sort of pass it on. So if you only have one network adapter, you're not going to have options, for example, behind an edge device, but with two network adapters. But for right now, that's the default I'm going to select. But again, the option you choose is going to depend on your topology and what you have available. So I'm going to say behind an edge device. And now I'm configuring what are those DNS suffixes that are considered internal to my network. So for my environment, just the default domain suffix of saviltech.net is fine. However, if you did have additional domain suffixes within your environment you wanted to be routed to your internal network, you could configure the client with those options and add them in here. I'm now giving it the names of the group policy objects it's going to create. One for the clients of DirectAccess, and then one for the server that is the DirectAccess server or servers. I can now edit those configurations. So if I click this, it shows me all of the different configurations, and I can change these values right now. But for right now, this matches my requirements. I'm going to click OK and say Finish. So this is now creating the group policy objects. It's going to apply them and configure the right security filtering to only link to the DirectAccess servers and the DirectAccess clients. So that was successful. I can see all the details of everything it did. So this is just warning me, because I've configured saviltech.net as the name that's considered internal, but to actually get to my server, it's part of saviltech.net. So I would have to add this as an exception to the name resolution policy table. It would kind of loop and never actually be able to connect. So a better option would be this server should have been savdalrazo1.saviltech.com. Again, because this is a lab environment and I'm kind of tweaking to make this work, I get some weird things, but you wouldn't get this in a typical environment. But now it's showing me an overview of my configuration. It would have actually gone and created some group policy objects for me as well. So if I refresh my group policy objects, I'll see a DirectAccess client settings and a DirectAccess server settings. If I refresh here as well, I'll see they've been linked. So the client settings have been linked, but under my scope, I'll see it's using security filtering to only apply them to machines that are part of that group. Likewise, my server policy settings have been scoped to only apply to my DirectAccess server. I can go ahead and see the configurations is actually made. So there is that saviltech.net. So at this point, to protect my configuration, I could actually go and edit this policy and add that exclusion. Clients will get this automatically when they refresh group policy. So I can say GP update /false. This is going to reapply all policies for this machine. And as part of this, direct access will be configured and that name resolution policy table. So now I need to log off, so I'll let that happen. Then I'll connect back again. The machine now actually shows a direct access connection. So I have this new type of connection available to me. It's not required right now because I'm on the local network. So direct access is not going to be leveraged. I can see that it applied the group policy object. So if I run a GP result, it's showing me the user settings, and above it I can see the computer settings. So I saw the direct access client settings were actually applied. Likewise, if I now run the netsh namespace, show policy, it's going to show me specific settings for that saviltech.net that actually show me it's going to leverage direct access. But it'll now be available to use. As soon as this machine actually disconnected from my corporate network and was out on the internet, it could now kick in and use my direct access configuration automatically. You can customize this configuration, so I can edit my remote clients from within the remote access management console. So I click edit. I can see those groups again. So the settings we configured as part of that initial configuration, I can modify here. I can change the name of that connection. So I might say Saviltech DA, so Saviltech Direct Access. I can give a help desk information. Finish. And that's going to go and actually update group policy objects. So then the next time the client actually reloaded group policy, those configurations would change. So if I go back here and I do a GP update, now it says Saviltech DA, so I'm changing those configurations. Likewise, I can change some of the server configuration as well. What is that public name? So I did that saviltech.net, really saviltech.com, or some externally accessible name, but that matches my certificate would be a great thing to do. Notice I'm using this specific certificate, but if I change the name, I could say we'll use a different certificate that actually matches the name that I'm offering the service under, and cancel that. Now there's one other item I want to draw your attention to, and that's, well, if I have a machine that's not connected to my corporate network, I can't run GP update. What if I want to join it to the domain and apply these policies, but it's a brand new machine, it's delivered to a field office? So one of the great capabilities we actually have is something called djoin. So djoin allows us to offline provision machines. It basically creates a file that we then inject into a machine. So I can actually say I want to provision a new machine. I want to add it to the saviltech.net domain. I give it a machine name. So I'm going to say DA client 2. I specify a file where this offline domain join information will be saved to. So I'll say DA client 2.txt. And also what I want to add is I want to include the group policy object that configures direct access. So it's that direct access client settings. And this is now creating that machine, and it's creating that file to also contain the group policy object. So I would now actually see that under computers, it's pre-provisioned, if I refresh, my DA client 2. I would then go ahead and add it into the DA clients members. So it's actually going to get the group policy applied normally. And then this file, I would ship over to whichever location is getting this new machine. I can look at this file and it's really not going to show me anything. It's all basically encrypted, so I can't use it. But then on that target machine, I would run djoin. Now I can't run it all the way through here, but I would say djoin, request, odj, load file, da client2.txt, and then the path of my Windows folder. So for example, %windir, and it's my local OS. And if I run this, it would actually now join it to the domain and apply that direct access configuration. So it's now actually good to go. It would reboot, it will be a member of the domain already, and it will have the direct access configuration and then actually connect via direct access to the corporate intranet. So djoin really is your best friend when it comes to actually configuring this for machines that aren't currently connected to the corporate network. This concludes the lesson on the configuration of Direct Access service and enabling Direct Access for the clients.